This is the rating system that we will be using. As you can see, we've got I'd run it, which means I'd run a campaign of this game, which highest rating. There's try a one-shot, which means I kind of like the concept, but I'm not sure if it will last for a long campaign if I were to actually play it. And then there's interesting concept, which is I like the concept, but maybe the execution just didn't gel with me that well. Then there's not for me, which is I don't think I'd like the game. It's not for me, but it might be for somebody else. And then there's Rocks Fall. Everyone dies for something that's completely terrible and that no one should play. First game we are reviewing is Hellborn. Full disclosure, I did receive a review copy of this game, but that should not affect my final rating for it. So what is Hellborn? Well, first, it was kickstarted by a Greece-based company called Studio Hex, which currently is kickstarting their new RPG called Midnight Glamours, which seems to be a supernatural mystery type game. Both of these games remind me very much of Chronicles of Darkness or World of Darkness game lines. However, the system is very different and the setting is extremely different. You play as biblical demons or people who have sinned, who have gone down to hell, but it's a lot more cyberpunk. So think the demons from Doom, or maybe even something more akin to Hazbin Hotel, which is a show I've been watching, where there's a lot of like weird steampunk technology stuff mixed with magic. You take on the role of mercenaries who work for the various archdemons or demon gangs or even the corporations if you want. If this interests you at all, check out the links below to the new Kickstarter and to their DriveThruRPG page. It'll be an affiliate link. I'm not sponsored by them, but I'd like to support an indie dev when I can. The culture of Hell is separated into several different islands or island continents, each based off of one of the original sins, so the 7 deadly sins. There are other smaller islands that exist, but the main ones are your 7 deadly sins. I'm not going to list them off because I always forget one, usually sloth or gluttony. But in any case, they are ruled by archdemons and corporations. Archdemons are typically older demons that have been around for a long time and have prolonged their life through the eating of souls, whereas the corporations are sort of your more technologically based groups. Now, technology has developed a lot faster in Hell, with the internet being a big thing back in the 70s for them, 1970s, and then soon after they became very big into cybernetics, which is why people are replacing their arms and legs with more demonic cybernetic devices. At the same time, the magic level of the setting is going down because faith is not something that is used very often. I think it talked about it in the lore as far as when people stopped praying, miracles happened less. And once a new wave of religious sentiment comes and more prayers come, so too do the miracles. And that's the same thing for demonic magic as well. If you die in Hell, you're dead. Your soul gets returned to something called the Storm or the Darkness if you're a demon, the Storm if you're a mortal, and it sort of gets recycled and used again for creating new demons or new sinners, as far as I can tell. I've skimmed through the book. It's a very big book, and I've tried to cover as much as I can, so forgive me if I get anything wrong. So character creation, the first thing you do is you pick your species, which can be a damned mortal soul who has been sent to hell, or it can be any one of the natural residents, the demons as it were, which they're usually based around the island or continent sin. For instance, you have the concubus demons, which are basically lust demons, succubi, incubi, etc. But then you also have a variety of other ones, such as the Malice, who are undead demons, as well as dark angels, which are fallen angels from the war with heaven. Next up, you determine your attributes and derive characteristics, as well as your character's past. And then you can choose your tarot card reading, or you can draw it randomly. Then you choose your paths, perks, boons, and boon techniques, which are essentially your class and subclass, or like your primary class and a secondary class, as well as your abilities or feats if you're familiar with D&D. Then you can purchase all your equipment, and then you finish your character by filling out the backstory and the personality. When I say determine your past, it has a list of questions that you can answer to help flesh out your character. The system's pretty simple. It's a 2d6 system where you add a appropriate attribute or skill score, and then you roll higher than or equal to the difficulty rating. So if you roll 2d6 against a difficulty of 7, let's say, and you roll a 6, then you add your attribute of +2, you've beaten the difficulty rating and you succeed. In attacking another person, you will roll against their armor rating, and then you roll the damage depending on what type of weapon or ability you're using. There are some more details, such as conditions and other minutiae once you get down to it, but for the most part, the system seems very simple and easy to pick up, though it can get bogged down in the rules along the side of, oh, when you get knocked unconscious, you now have to do this roll, or your grapple checks can get a little bit more complicated with what you're rolling. That being said, it doesn't scare me too much. I would just have to sit down and read the book a little bit more to wrap my head around it, I feel. To the left, you have Static Bolt, which is your boon technique, whereas Knockout Blow and Puppy Dog Eyes are perks which recharge once per downtime phase, which is basically a short rest type scenario. Static Bolt is one of these abilities that I would say looks very complex just by looking at right now. It's a giant paragraph, but really when it comes down to it, it's just an ability that does some damage over a period of time. Now, Knockout Blow is something that's a little bit easier for me to digest because it's just you can do double damage you would normally do by an unarmed attack, and if you would kill the target, they get knocked out instead. This is one of the things I like about the system the most, and that's the carousing table. Essentially, when you have downtime, you can go out, get drinks, and have a good time, and then you roll on this table to see how well it went, and there are some modifiers and things like that. And it basically gives you results and tells you a little bit of a story while you're going around just having downtime. And that's something I like and I wish more games did. At the terrible table, you're going to have more detrimental stuff, and at the higher, like, great roll table, you're going to get more information, more experience points, and maybe even win some money while you're at it. So what's my final thought on the book? Well, about half the book is world building, and that makes sense. It's a lot of lore and story. It even goes into like hundreds of years and eras of hell throughout the centuries. That being said, I still don't really understand what the lifestyle of a mercenary in hell is. I don't really get the daily life of someone in hell. Is everyone a mercenary? Are there normal people going about their normal day jobs in hell? That's something I didn't really get from reading the fiction. The infrastructure exists. It talks about how there are hospitals and there's even transportation and stuff in these cities and these towns that are on these continents. But as far as what a mercenary is doing day to day or the daily life of a normal person, it doesn't really go into that. The GM guidance is very short. It's only about 15 pages, which includes the monster section. I will say I love the monster section and how concise monster stat blocks are. However, there isn't really any quick reference material for character creation or combat, and that's really a detriment to me as someone who wants to check something out, because it means that I have to put a lot of effort into learning a new rule set, whereas with quick reference materials, it's easier for me to pick up and give it a shot. The long and short of my rating is I'd play a one-shot of it. The only thing really holding it back for me is the new player experience. There isn't any quick reference material, and it seems to have a little bit of a rules issue when it comes to certain abilities, and it can get bogged down in that. As an indie developer, you really need to look at the new player experience and try and cater to that a little bit more. That being said, I would definitely play a one-shot of it. Hopefully as a player, maybe as a GM if I can sit down with the rules for longer. Let me know what your thoughts about Hellborn is, and what are your thoughts about my indie review in general. Do you think it did justice to the system? Do you think you have a better idea of what I'm like when I look into an RPG I want to play? Please let me know in the comments below. If you want to check out another demon-related tabletop RPG, please check out Demon the Descent. It's a lot less biblical and it's a lot more secular in how it depicts cybernetic demons. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Have a good one.